Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. To those of you who are new subscribers, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning into my work and subscribing to my channel. Your support means a great deal to me. And to those of you who have been with me for a while and have been part of my YouTube family, thank you so much for your continued support. I really appreciate all the love and support from everybody. It really helps to motivate me when it comes to doing these videos and keeping the work flowing. So today I wanted to do just that and bring you a little energy update, what I am perceiving taking place, and also to do a little Q&A, as I've gotten some questions from some of you that I thought would be beneficial for me to answer here so that the collective could receive that information as well. So the first question that I keep getting over and over again ties into the energy report. So I'm going to do that one first. And that question is, when the heck is this all going to end? When is it going to go away? And so I know that there are many people out there that are throwing dates around, that have thrown dates around in the past, and that are looking to perhaps March 4th. And so what I want to say to that is, when we're tuning into these energies, we're tuning into timelines, okay? And it's not so much about fixating on the dates, because the dates are not tied to the timelines. The timelines we're moving in are moving us into a 5D state of consciousness. Dates are fixed to the 3D matrix that we were playing in. Dates are very linear. They keep you focused on, um, you know, like a point of perspective, right? A point of view, so to speak. So you're always focused and fixated on waiting for that date to come, kind of like birthdays. Okay, so we are anxious, waiting for the birthday to come when we're young, of course. When we're older, it's a little different. And then when we're ascended, it's, birthdays are kind of irrelevant and go out the window. So it's all different levels of perspective, right? So when we're young and we're focused on the birthday, we're focused on that day, and the excitement builds to that day. And the more we focus on that day, we're building to that particular day, right? We can see that happen with things like, we have Valentine's Day coming up, okay? And for a lot of people, that's a significant day. For some, it's very significant because they are in a relationship. And for others, it's very significant because it actually marks another Valentine's Day past that they are not in a relationship, okay? So we have used dates in the past to help us stay anchored into or rooted into a certain energy frequency that we wanted to play in, okay? And so from one perspective, yes, we wanted to play in it, because if we're rooting into the Valentine's Day energy, let's use that as an example, where let's say we're in a relationship and we're excited, we're happy, we want to mark that relationship with each occasion that could have a special memory or host a special experience for us, then we would be looking forward to marking different dates, right? And one of those dates might be Valentine's Day. The other perspective is for those who are not with dates, with a significant other for Valentine's Day, we'll be looking at that date and feeling bad about not being with somebody, right? So it holds both energies within that one day, and that one day can have you either feeling elated and shooting to the moon, or it can make you feel, less than, like you are always struggling to be in a relationship. Why isn't it your turn? When is it going to happen? All of that sort of stuff. Okay. So linear time held that construct of duality. And so there, the duality plays out from two perspectives. One being, I'm in a relationship. This relationship is great. I want to mark it with this date. And the other perspective in the duality is, this really stinks. I don't have anybody in my life, or I just broke up with someone, or I just ended my marriage, or whatever it's going to be. And this really stinks, and it's awful, and it feels bad, right? So do you see how dates align us to the field of duality, polarity and duality, right? So we could have that into play. So when we look at dates, or we're fixating on dates, we're doing it from an old 3D perspective. Now we're not wanting to stay in 3D anymore. So we kind of have to start to let the narrative of the calendar dates go, because that belongs in the old paradigm, right? That Gregorian calendar, which was created to give us the experience of the 3D reality, allowing us to play in duality and polarity. So if we see that, then we can say, okay, I get it, Maria. I don't want to fixate on dates going forward. So every time I think of the date of March 4th being the end date for all of this, I have to let that go, because what if the reality is that the collective is not ready by that date? Then maybe that date won't happen, and it will be pushed off until enough of the collective has fed the next opportunity for us to shift. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you, because that's really how this works. We're not feeding into the gameplay of dates anymore, because it belongs in the old paradigm. It's very linear. Right now, we're in free flow. And if you've taken any of my classes or have done any work with me, the work is always being present in this now moment, because being in the now moment is how we're navigating everything that presents in our future, right? We have to stay in the now, work from the now. And as we're working from the now, we are able to then see what is unfolding in front of us, and then make choices that are aligned with the higher timeline, if we so choose to do that. Okay, but when we're focused on out there, and out there in this case might be that March 4th date, we're definitely not going to be staying in the now, creating our best experience leading up to that March 4th date, because we're going to be so fixated on the day. We're going to be missing things that might be needing to take place in our now experience. Okay, so I hope that helps you. I tried to make it as less confusing as I possibly can, because I know a lot of people get stuck with the linear time thing and the 5D timeline. 5D timeline requires us to be in complete flow. We're just letting it go, and we're just navigating our day-to-day experience. And that doesn't have to look like anything right away, and let the day unfold around you. Right? When I got up this morning, I knew I had client sessions. I knew I wanted to make this video. And then tonight I have my class. And so how does that day look? It's definitely not structured. I did a client session. I had a little something to eat. And now I'm here with you making this video. And then in between my next sessions, I was just thinking maybe I'll start a painting, and then this way I can go back to the painting at some point today, or maybe I'll finish it tomorrow. I don't have a set routine or a set plan. The only thing that's set in stone are the client sessions that I have and the class that I have tonight. The rest of it is going to just be in free flow, and I'm going to enjoy the experience of being a divine creator in that free flow. Okay, so that's my experience, and that's how I live my reality. And for the purpose of navigating the higher 5D timelines, that would be the optimal way to go, if we take ourselves and put ourselves in complete present moment experience, not factoring to anything, right? And then in the same right, well, Valentine's Day is coming. We could look at Valentine's to mark that Valentine Day as a reminder for us to feel into our own love, and to love ourselves in that moment, regardless of where we are in our lives, regardless of who we have around us, who we have in our lives. Okay, so use that day, if you're going to focus on the day, to mark love for yourself, and not measure yourself by someone else or something that is an old belief system that belongs in the third dimensional paradigm that we're trying to let go. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So the energy is very, very high. It's very, very intense. It's very fast, very, very fast. You think something and it happens. I'm seeing that constantly playing out in my reality. So we have to really start to do a good job managing our thoughts. Very, very important. Okay. And I know that some of you have been feeling some of this heavier, denser energy that we've been experiencing. And that energy is coming up for me as remorse, as confusion. I think there's a lot of confusion for the people that voted in this presidency. And now that this individual has taken office, it is confusing because of what their expectation was. Okay, and that expectation is not being fulfilled. So again, that was playing out to an expectation, what they believed as a narrative that was being fed through the system, right? And now that expectation held can lead to disappointment and suffering. I have a video from probably last year sometime that talks about letting go of expectations, because the expectation itself is what leads us down the path of disappointment, pain, and suffering, right? The best thing to do is not hold any expectation, because when we don't hold an expectation, we don't have anything to measure what we're perceiving the outcome should be. Okay. So if in this case, the expectation was for something greater, something better to shift. Okay. And that is not happening. And so there is a lot of lower level energy that's playing out. A lot of it is coming up as confusion. Because I read energy, I am reading that on the collective level. So if you yourself are doing the work, if you follow me on this channel, if you do work with me, if you take my classes, if you follow my Instagram page, if you are a creator, if you are someone that is tuned into your ascension process, right? Then you will understand that that confusion that you may feel at times, as we're constantly vacillating back and forth between these timelines, because the confusion is the third dimensional timeline, it's not the fifth dimensional timeline. Fifth dimensional timeline is bliss and happy and joy, and that feeling like it's May, even when there's snow on the ground, right? Feels like it's May. Why did it just snow? That doesn't make any sense. But when you have that feeling of May and spring, that's 5D, right? So that's the timeline that we want to hold. So for all of you that are tuning in, that are fitting into the categories that I put you in just now, where you're creators, you're in your ascension process, you're holding the higher timeline, you operate from your heart center. If you're feeling the confusion that is playing out in the collective, just understand it is not yours and allow yourself to navigate beyond it, right? We tell ourselves, this is not my feeling. It's aligned with being an empath. Empathing into the collective consciousness. We do not want to stay there. Empaths, that soul contract ended a long time ago. You do not have to empath anybody else's emotions anymore. So let that go and just be in free flow. This way you can move on and be in those higher creative states that you desire to be in and navigate. Okay. And so what is confusing about this process, though, is that the timeline for 5D is that Christed timeline. Now, we could clearly see 3D because it's what's playing out in the government right now, right? As the government swapped out on the 20th, boy, 3D came raging into the forefront, and now we're seeing it in extremes. And 4D is happening all around us. The confusion, those just waking up, asking questions. Why is this happening? I thought this was going to happen. I thought this would be better, right? That's 4D. So that awakening stage is starting to happen. And then, of course, we have thrown into the mix cognitive dissonance, right? Which makes it a very interesting game to be playing. So we kind of have to take everything in stride and just try to do that with ease and grace. But it's very hard sometimes. Now it's hard, not before, but now it's hard because we're starting to notice that there is no definitive narration or line for 5D and what 5D feels like, right? So it's almost like 5D doesn't have a timeline to feel into. The timeline itself is love, compassion, caring, sharing, assisting, supporting, helping. And so when we see that playing out around us, then we know that we're in a 5D state of consciousness where we have compassion and caring for ourselves and then also for each other, right? So that 5D timeline is not going to look as visible, as visceral, as palpable as 3D and 4D will, okay? You're just going to have to know that you're in it when you're feeling springtime, you're feeling May, that keeps popping up, where you feel like you want to create, where you just feel happy, you don't know why you feel happy, but you're in states of bliss and joy. That is the 5D timeline. It cannot be defined anymore because it's such high intense light frequency that we are not yet able to see it uh, in its in its timeline visual, as if we could potentially see a timeline, in other words. Okay, the only reason we can see the other timelines, 3D and 4D, is because we can actually mark them with very physicalized actions, right? 3D is destruction, 3D is chaos, and so when we have that, 3D is separation, 3D is not getting along, it's anger, it's arguments, it's fighting, it's all of that, right? 4D is confusion. 4D is starting to wake up from the 3D chaos, and then 4D sees the confusion and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on anymore. And then 5D just feels floaty. It's just where you are, right? And you're not feeling, there's no confusion. Okay, like in my day, I don't have any moments where I wish that didn't happen, or I wish that person didn't do that, right? I don't really have those moments because everything is in harmony, everything is in peace. That's 5D. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so for those of you that were looking for the 5D timeline, it would be as you are having peace in yourself and in the things that are taking place around you. That's more of that 5D timeline anchoring in. All right. Now I know many of you have been seeing synchronistic numbers, and although I've covered this for years and years and years, I just wanted to cover it again quickly. So for those of you that are really starting to see the synchronistic numbers, especially the main numbers like 1111 or 111, 222, 333, right? Those numbers are activating light codes within you. Those numbers are like a tap on the shoulder from your universe, saying, hey, are you paying attention? Are you aligned? Is your thinking aligned? Are you creating in the higher timelines? Are you aware? Are you conscious? Or has your human gone unconscious and forgotten your creator states, right? That's what those numbers are about. So, the 1111, that was always the awakening code. And that would be like the clarion call for your soul. Wake up, time to wake up, time to get on board with your ascension, time to get on board with your awakening, your spiritual evolution, right? If we think about binary code, ones, the number one in binary code would be the on position. A 0 is an off position. So those 1111 codes is 4 ones flipping on light codes within your electromagnetic field. Okay, so that is definitely impacting you in a way of activating those codes that may be needing to come on now, so you can start to access more of the intel that is aligned with your higher self. Okay, now there's those other synchronistic numbers. I will give you my definitions, and then I want you to write your own definitions if you want, or you can use my definitions. But when those numbers pop up for me, the synchronistic numbers, I see them in this way. 111 for me is very angelic. It's also about awakening. It ties into the number 1, which is new beginnings, and the number 11, which is manifestation. So it's the beginning stages of the tap on the shoulder, right from the higher self, saying, hey, it's time to wake up. 222 for me is about having faith. It's new pathway opportunities, right? You're stepping from the old 3D self into the 4D self, or from the 4D self into the 5D self. Then 333 is always about the Trinity for me. The 333 is the Christ timeline as well. So when I started activating to the Christ consciousness, to the Christ timeline, I started seeing 333 all over the place. 444 is about responsibility. It's a very galactic number. It's a very strong number. It almost makes me think of the Syrians from Sirius, get her done. When I have that get her done feeling, I usually feel Syrian energy with that. And then the numbers, those fours will pop up when I need to take more responsibility in what I'm doing. Then 555 is all about change. 666 for me is not a bad number. It is not the mark of the beast. It's about love, and it's also about exiting the matrix. Okay. And a lot of people are afraid of that number. And I don't want you to be afraid of that number. I want you to call it in. That number needs healing. It was hijacked by the dark. So we need to bring it back into the light. So when you see it, offer it love. Think about exiting the matrix, the old matrix where it held the mark of the beast and it doesn't anymore, right? It's like the 333 is held by the Freemasons, and they use that as the highest mark, right? But for me, it's the Christ timeline. So I feed it love every time I see it so that I can heal it from that old distorted 3D matrix, from that 3D paradigm, okay? So you do the same, please, and let's get the numbers back on track here for the Christ consciousness. So the 777 for me is a very highly spiritual number. It aligns me with source. It aligns me with my creation in a spiritual state. So for me, it's very, very much about spirituality. Eights are infinity. If you turn them on their side, it's the infinity loop. It means the field of infinite possibilities, the infinite field of potential. And it also is about the infinite potential for abundance in our lives. Okay. And then nines for me can be about endings, and also the expansion, okay, of where we're headed to, because we're about to step into the newness of the one. So have fun, play with the numbers. Don't get locked into anything that is distorted. We don't want to do that. We want to amplify everything now. We want to bring it back. We want to hold it with love, and we want to amplify it in our field. Okay. Now, some other significant numbers are the 144 code, which is avatar Christ consciousness. And so I have a video on that as well. You might want to check that video out. It explains in greater detail there what the 144 code is, but that is very, very, a very powerful code. So if you start seeing that, call this in as an activation to start seeing that, because that's how this goes, right? Start playing with the 144 code, call it into your field, and just have fun with it. And just know that every time you see those synchronistic numbers catching your attention, it's a tap from your higher self saying, are you paying attention? Are you aligned, right? The other part of that too is it's part of the unification process of the right and left hemispheres of the brain, as the right and left hemisphere of the brain merge. So as that happens, the corpus callosum, which runs down the center of both brains, separating, it's like a sheath of cartilage or something like that, separating both of the brains. As we amplify our field and come into our fifth dimensional selves, that corpus callosum is going to start to dissolve, and the two halves of the brain are going to merge even more to give you the unification process, right? Or that unification experience where you know yourself as one with all things. And the other part of that too is when that starts to happen, usually we start seeing flashing with our eyes closed. So if you're meditating and you're seeing the flashing of white light or something, sometimes it looks like thunderbolts, sometimes it's just a flicker of white light. That's also part of the unification process. So just take that in stride, know that it all has to do with elevating our consciousness to the next highest level. So those are the numbers, the synchronistic numbers. And so I wanted to just give you that information, okay? Because it's very important right now. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the shot, okay? And I'm trying to be very PC on here because I don't want them taking down my videos or my channel. But I know there's a lot of people asking me what my thoughts are on getting the shot. And so I can tell you that as someone that has been intuitive my whole entire life and then started my healing work back in 2000, I have never ever been pro shots of any kind. Okay. I don't even take the one for the flu. I have never taken that one. I did read the ingredients in it many, many years ago, and that was a number one deterrent. So with this new C19 shot, I also read up on the ingredients with it, and I did a lot of research on it as well. And the one thing I don't like in it is, I mean, well, there's a lot that I don't like that's in it. Okay. But it has messenger RNA in it, and messenger RNA, I don't believe that that's meant to be in our body in the way that it is in this particular shot. I'm not a doctor, but I do have a background as a med lab tech diagnosing disease, and I've my whole life has basically been as a critical thinker, researching everything, right, from ingredients on foods, which now my food list has diminished down to maybe this big because everything is got garbage in it. So you can't eat anything unless it's whole foods. And then you have to be careful too, because I bought tomatoes the other day and the tomatoes had this weird stem in it. And when I cut around the stem, it looked like claws sticking into my tomato. And I was like, where the heck is that? What is that? It just didn't make sense. So even though it says that it's organic vegetable, it's got to be genetically modified, right? So these shots are too. Part of the whole genetically modified infrastructure, which plays into the third dimensional paradigm. Okay. And so a lot of the stuff that's in there, I am understanding goes right up beyond the blood brain barrier, and can affect the brain, which is why now there's a lot of reports that are being squelched on people dying from like brain hemorrhages and stuff like that. So, I'm just saying for me, I would never get it. Never. It's not a choice I would ever make for myself, right? But again, that's just me. And so, if you feel called to get it, that's your God-given right. And, your free will dictates that ability to do so. And I'm not telling you not to do it. All I'm saying is that that's how I feel. And I'm responding to the multitude of questions that I've been getting about it and what my take is on it and whether or not I would do it. So if you are thinking about getting it, the only thing I would say to you is do a ton of research before you do and make sure you know what you're putting in your body. Now, oddly enough, that would be the same advice that I would give to you if you were asking me about a particular food. I know years back, there was a whole big thing on carrageenan, which is very, very bad for you, gives you stomach issues, upset stomach, and can really cause a lot of gastrointestinal problems. And it came up that that is an additive that should never, ever, ever be in food. And I mean, this is years ago when I first, had understood this. And it was because I had a client at the time who was a young mom who was feeding her child, I think, almond milk. And back then at that time, the almond milk that she was feeding the child had carrageenan in it. So when she gave me the food list, because I have a background doing nutrition, holistic health, and I looked at the food list, I started to research every item on her food list and started to look at the ingredients. And then when I found that the almond milk had the carrageenan in it, she stopped giving the baby that almond milk, and the gastrointestinal issues went away completely. Now, we need to be critical thinkers, right? Just as I always say to everybody, be your own health advocate. You only have this one body in this lifetime. And while we may have a bazillion more lifetimes to go, we only have this body in this now lifetime. And so it's our responsibility as divine beings of source energy to take care of these bodies in the best way that we know how. So, if you are thinking of, getting the shot, then just please research it, is all I ask you to do, because it has a lot of things in it that, in my opinion, should not be in our human body. But that, again, that's just my opinion. Okay. So be a critical thinker. It's important, especially now, for everything that you see, ask question everything. Okay. Unless you are absolutely certain about something. It's how we grow. It's how we ascend our consciousness. All right. So the last thing that I want to go over is a question that came to my mind that I wrote down that I wanted to pose to you. So this question pertains to everything in our reality, everything that we are doing at every single level, no matter what. And the question is what I'm doing aligning to the source within me, or am I allowing my outer world to influence my inner world? Okay. Am I aligning with everything that is within my being, within my desires? Do I desire to take the shot, to eat whole organic tomatoes, to whatever the case is, right? To go on vacation, to whatever, to go outside and take a walk, right? Whatever it is, to paint a picture, to watch this YouTube video, whatever it is, okay? I don't care whatever it is. I want you to start to tune in and really ask yourself, pay attention, is what I'm doing now in my highest best good? Does it feel aligned with everything within me? Does it feel in my alignment? Or am I doing it because someone else is doing it? Because someone else said, well, I'm going to do it. And then you think, all right, then I might as well do it too, right? That's not operating from our sovereignty. That's operating as a follower, mimicking another's behavior. And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to live in individuality. We're here to live in autonomy. We're here to live in our sovereignty. We're here to be free thinkers. Okay. So no matter what you're doing, whatever it is that you're doing, I want you to just check in with yourself, do a breath check and say, does this really resonate with me? Am I really happy doing this? Right? When I see someone working at a job and they really don't love their job, and the fact that they don't love their job but they stay there anyway creates then pain and suffering for them, because they don't love their job but they're staying there because they need the money. That pain and suffering, you have to ask yourself, is it worth the money that you're getting? I was there. I know. I had a very high paying corporate job. And I was at that corporate job for 14 years. And I had a lot of pain and suffering. And during that time at that job, toward the end, I had cancer twice. And I hated every minute of being at that job, because every year the job got harder and more demanding, more restrictive, more limiting, less freedom, and less compassion and joy and happy lived there. Right. And my job wanted me to be married to my job. My job didn't want me to have a life. That was the demand. That was the structure, the infrastructure. And I just knew that that was not for me. So I made the decision to leave the job and go into my healing business full time. Was it a struggle at first? Absolutely. Did I have a rough road? A little bit, but I chose to make it rough because of my belief systems. It doesn't have to be rough, but I chose that because of my belief systems. So I'm asking you to really look at everything, because even now, I challenge myself every day and say, is that really my belief? Do I really believe that, or am I just running an old program? Am I running an old belief system that I just can't seem to shake loose? I can't seem to let go of because it's so comfortable. I'm so used to it. It's like that old sofa in front of the TV, right? Get rid of the TV, throw it in the garbage, change out the sofa, do something different, put on your running shoes, go out for a walk, do something different. The routine is what kills us. The routine is what keeps us stuck. When we're doing the routine every day and we're in that cycle, that hamster wheel, that's what keeps us stuck in life. That's what creates the pain and suffering. Okay? Be a critical, free thinker. Ask questions. Guys, if you do not do anything else, research the hell out of whatever it is that you're about to ingest, whether food wise or medically or anything else. I, just saw a post from a beautiful sister on Instagram. Um, and as I was reading this post, she was posting about not eating, what are they? Beyond Burgers and some of the other burgers that are out there too, the Garden Burgers and the Impossible Burgers. Now, I know about those burgers from a long time back, right? From when they first came out over about a year ago. All right. Why do I know about them? Because I researched the label, I researched what's in them, and I didn't just take it at the name that was on the package. I actually looked up the name and just read everything I could on that name. Why wouldn't eat those burgers, right? Because I didn't want to put that stuff in my body, because it's not really a plant-based burger. Okay, hate to burst your bubble, but I'm just saying. So research the burgers. But it's like candy canes the year before, right? When I looked up candy canes, the ingredients in candy canes, the white in the candy cane is like a latex floor paint, right? I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I definitely would not want to put that in my body. So, but if we're not reading labels, we're not going to know, and things are going to sneak by us, and then all of a sudden we get sick, and we're there, we are sick, and now we have to deal with that, right? So and so I just, I want to make you aware how important it is to be a critical thinker. So make sure that whatever you're allowing in your reality is being influenced by your inner world and not your outer world. And don't do something just because somebody else is doing it. Okay. Be a critical thinker. It's so important to do that critical thinking. And while I'm thinking it, Ariel Caputo on Instagram is who posted that post about the burgers. And there were a couple other things mentioned in there as well, and just a beautiful light. So if you give her an opportunity, go look at her page. But this is what we are doing for each other. We're illuminating so that we can see where we need to guide ourselves down the path, right? Don't take things for granted. Stop giving your freedom and your rights away. Okay. Start researching, be a critical thinker, look at what's going in your food. If a tomato says that it's an organic tomato grown in Canada, and I cut it apart, and there are these sharp prong like things that look like a serrated knife that is plastic like that I can't break or bend apart, I'm not going to eat that tomato because I don't know what that is. All I know is that's not what my old-fashioned tomatoes look like. It did not have that. It had a stem and that was it, but it did not have this infrastructure going through the tomato. I bought 6 of them and I threw them all in the garbage after I cut the first one open. Crazy, right? Yes, but I'm not taking a chance putting that stuff in my body, and neither should you. So just be informed. If on the word of organic, I don't want to go into this today. Maybe I'll do another one on that. But if if you start to find stuff like that, buy local grown. Local grown is better than foreign organic. If you are finding that the products that you're buying are not good products, because at least at some degree, we kind of know what they're putting in the chemicals here, what they're the gardening, the farmers and whatnot. And better yet, if you can, subscribe to an organic farm or something to get your produce, that would be your best bet. But in any case, going into the grocery store, just buy local grown. Okay. So I hope this helps and shed some light on a bunch of different things. It's very important right now to just stay in uh, the higher timeline. Even if you don't know what that is, it feels like May, it feels like summer, it feels like joy, happy, creation. It makes you want to create something. It makes you want to do something. Um, so tune into that. That's your 5D state of being. You can't really see the timeline because it's not clear anymore because it's so interwoven in everything that we do. It's just the timeline of love, compassion, support, helping, sharing, caring, all of that. Okay. So I hope that you found this video helpful in some way, shape, or form. I'm trying to bring you the information that's needed for you to have your best life, to access the divine creator within you, and to navigate these turbulent streams of energy coming through right now. Turn the TVs off. Don't tune into the news. Let everything go. Just stay in your divine creator state. Be in flow. Tune it all out. It's the movie. We don't need to watch it. It is playing out just for the wake up, just for the great awakening. Okay. And the more we tune out and hold the higher timeline, the faster the energies can collectively amplify that, and we can come to some kind of a resolution with all of this. Okay. And then we'll see ourselves shifting into the 5D spiritual state, because the physical state has to catch up with the spiritual state, but we'll be shifting into that 5D spiritual state of being. All right. So know that I love you so much, so very much. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It moves me up into the algorithm so other people can find me. It has nothing to do with monetization because I don't make any money off of these videos. If you would like to support my channel, I appreciate that. There are links for your heartfelt contributions below. And so I wish you a wonderful whatever it is that you're doing. Stay focused on your higher timeline. If you have any questions, drop them below or send me an email and I will be sure to address them at another time. And that's it for today. All right. I love you. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.